अब हमारे बीच में राधा दीदी आएंगी। मैं दीदी का संक्षिप्त में परिचय देने से पहले कहूँगा कि ज़रूरी नहीं रोशनी चिरागों से ही हो, शिक्षा से भी घर रोशन होते हैं। जी हाँ, शिक्षकों की भी शिक्षा देने वाली हमारे बीच में राधा दीदी, इन्होंने बाल ब्रह्मचारी रूप से इन्होंने ये लखनऊ की बगिया को सींचा है और इन्होंने जिस प्रकार की शिक्षा की लहर फैलाई है उससे हमको समझ में आता है कि ना ही केवल हजारों लोगों को बल्कि लाखों लोगों को दीदी के सानिध्य में आकर सफलता की अनुभूति हुई है और प्राप्ति की अनुभूति हुई है। दीदी पिछले 25 सालों से भी ज़्यादा समर्पित रूप से लखनऊ में अपनी सेवाएं दे रही हैं। वो गोमती नगर सेंटर ब्रह्मा कुमारीज की संचालिका भी हैं। तो दीदी इसको मैं निमंत्रण दूंगा कि वो कृपया आकर 2 मिनट या उसको सभा को एड्रेस करें। और अपने स्वागत और वेलकम स्पीच भी हमारे सामने रखें।
ओम शांति। प्रजापिता ब्रह्मा कुमारी ईश्वरीय विश्वविद्यालय ईश्वरीय विश्वविद्यालय है। इस विद्यालय में आए हुए आप सबका हार्दिक स्वागत है। खास हमारे बीच में लंदन से चलकर आएगी हमारी सिस्टर डेनिस, जो कि इस ईश्वरीय विश्वविद्यालय की पहली विदेश की शिक्षिका है। फर्स्ट वुमेन, फर्स्ट टीचर, ब्रह्मा कुमारी फॉरेन टीचर है। एक बार ताली बजाकर आपका हार्दिक स्वागत करना चाहते हैं। स्वागत है, स्वागत है। शिक्षा एक ऐसा माध्यम है, इस माध्यम से हर परिवार को, समाज को, देश को वसुधैव कुटुंबकम को जोड़ने का मात्र एक साधन है। शिक्षा के लिए कोई बैरियर, कोई डॉगेजेस, कोई बॉन्डेजेस नहीं है। इन सब से वो परे है जो हर मानव मात्र को एक सूत्र में बांधकर हम सबको मानवीय मूल्यों की शिक्षा देते हुए इस संसार में आप और हम आए हैं। तो आप और हम सबका अधिकार खुशनुमा जीवन जीने का, सुख के साथ जीवन जीने का, ये जीवन का अधिकार हर इंसान का है। तो शिक्षा एक ऐसा माध्यम है जिसके द्वारा हमारे अंदर छिपे हुए उन मूल्यों का उजागर करके हम सबको एकता के सूत्र में बांध देता है। उसी क्षेत्र में जुड़ी हुई हमारी सिस्टर डेनिस बहन, मैं इनको पिछले 20 वर्षों से मैं इंडिविजुअली जानती हूँ, क्योंकि ब्रह्मा कुमारीज के जितने भी वैल्यू एजुकेशन की कोर्सेस, उसका मॉडल तैयार आपने किया है। उसके लिए आपने सिर्फ पढ़ करके नहीं, जैसे सवेरे से मैं इनके साथ में हूँ तो मुझे नज़दीक से देखने का मौका मिल रहा है। उन्होंने कहा कि स्पिरिचुअलिटी को मैंने सिर्फ सुना नहीं है, सिर्फ देखा नहीं है, मैंने समझा है। समझने के लिए हर यूनिवर्सिटी जाकर के भारत की चारों दिशाओं में इन्होंने यात्राएं की। यूनिवर्सिटीज में गए, कॉलेजेस में जाकर के इंटरेक्शन किया, हर धर्म की किताबों को इन्होंने पढ़ा, गीता को, रामायण को, महाभारत को इन्होंने पढ़ा, मनुस्मृति को इन्होंने पढ़ा, बाइबल कुरान को इन्होंने पढ़ा। तो समाज विश्व के हर ग्रंथ को पढ़कर, साथ साथ शिक्षा के हर क्षेत्र को पढ़कर, भारत के संविधान को पढ़कर, इस भारत के लिए किस शिक्षा की आवश्यकता है, इस चीज़ के लिए उन्होंने मेहनत करके बहुत सुंदर मॉडल तैयार किया है। सिर्फ तैयार ही नहीं किया, मैं तो कहती हूँ आजकल के जो स्टूडेंट्स चाहते हैं एक ऐसी लाइफ, कोई भी सिर्फ सुनना नहीं चाहता है। क्या कहना चाहता है बच्चा? हर स्टूडेंट क्या चाहता है? वो देखना चाहता है, टीचर को देखना चाहता है। तो डेनिस बहन को भी मैंने देखा है, सिर्फ सुना ही नहीं। एक मॉडल ऐसा शिक्षा का, वैल्यू एजुकेशन का एक प्रारूप क्या होता है, इन्होंने अपने एक रोल मॉडल के रूप में हमारे सामने अपने जीवन की प्रस्तुति रखी है। तो ऐसे महान विभूति लखनऊ में मेरे सामने तो पहली बार आगमन हुआ है। तो ऐसे महान विभूति को आज हम सबको सुनने का मौका मिलेगा। मैं आपका तहे दिल से हार्दिक स्वागत करना चाहती हूँ। स्वागत है, स्वागत है, स्वागत
सुख कण कण में शुभ संकल्पों में दीप जलाए।
कोशिशों के बावजूद हो जाती है कभी हार, कोशिशों के बावजूद हो जाती है कभी हार। होके निराश मत बैठना मन को अपनी वार, होके निराश मत बैठना मन को अपने मार। बढ़ते रहना आगे सदा हो जैसा भी मौसम, बढ़ते रहना आगे सदा हो जैसा भी मौसम। पा लेती है मंजिल चींटियां भी गिर गिर कर हर बार बार बार। मैं निमंत्रण देना चाहूँगा, हमारे बीच में हैं IMRT पेट्रन डॉक्टर बंसल जी और IMRT डायरेक्टर SP सिंह जी को कि वो मंच पर आए और दीदी को पुष्प गुच्छ देकर these floral greetings, we would like them to come on the stage and give the floral greetings to Sister Denise. बंसल जी कह रहे हैं कि उनके कॉलेज की फैकल्टी हैं मिस पूजा अग्रवाल, उनसे वो शॉल दिलवाना चाहते हैं। मैं निमंत्रण देना चाहूँगा बंसल जी।
Respected dear brothers and sisters, Om Shanti and good evening. First of all, I really feel honored and privileged to be here to welcome Denise Lawrence from London in Lucknow as well as this institution. Sometimes any person try to find an opportunity to be honored or to feel important. And the same opportunity, yesterday I requested my director, you welcome because it is teacher program and you will be most fitting person. But director requested me, that Radha Bhai is saying that you will welcome. And that loss, which the opportunity I lost, again I get that opportunity to welcome Denise Bhai. Today, in practice session is about fostering mind through education. When I was mentally preparing to welcome Denise Bhai, I was just thinking what is the meaning of the fostering. Literal meaning I was know what is the fostering. But I just say the Google, what is the fasting? What is the real meaning of the fasting? And I surprised that real meaning of the fasting, one of the meaning in the dictionary was to bring a street child who do at your home and provide whatever he wants, that the child needs, without being the theoretical parent of that child. Even this BK, Bahens and this sanstha, this organization can do to bring a child from the street and not without adopting the child, giving all the care and the benefits which the he is required. Today, it is the seminar or session for the teachers. Because time limit is 2 minutes, education is a wide subject. I will not do the encouragement on the subject because the Denise will speak on the value education. I will say only one line. Today the meaning of the education is distorted. What is the meaning of education? Like when we find the opportunity to do a business, we discuss what is the really flourishing business. Dal mill, chawal mill, bhatta laga lijiye, kurte ki factory laga lijiye. It became like that. You open an engineering college, you open a management college, you open a degree college, you will earn a lot of money. That is the definition of the education. But no, this is not the education. It is not a business. If you are producing rice or dal or salt or anything, that product has the only body. Bodily you can see that product, but that product don't have the mind and the soul. Education, if one line definition is, real education is which is integrated of the development of the body, soul, mind. Denise will speak on that. Again I am saying, I will not make an engrossment of the subject. Again, I assure Denise, whatever you speak on this interactive session, our teachers will learn from you and definitely assure you that they will definitely pass over to the student, youngster mind, whatever the transformation they will bring, definitely they will try to assure you. Again, on behalf of Anati Business Group, as well as other prestigious institutes whose representatives are sitting here, I welcome you in Lucknow as well as at this center. Thank you very much.
I'd like to invite the Chairman of Technical Institute of Management, Mr. Ravindra Agarwal ji, to please welcome Mr. Dennis and present the policy. मैं निमंत्रण देना चाहूँगा रविंद्र अग्रवाल जी, चेयरमैन टेक्नो इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ मैनेजमेंट में की मुख्य पे मंच पर आकर सिस्टर डेनिस को पुष्पगुच्छ और शॉल से सम्मानित करें और स्वागत वक्तव्य दें। रविंद्र जी के लिए 2 शब्द में कहना चाहूँगा, जब हौसला बना लिया था ऊंची उड़ान का, जब हौसला बना लिया था ऊंची उड़ान का, फिर देखना फजूल है कि आसमान का कद क्या है। मिस्टर रविंद्र अग्रवाल जी, चेयरमैन टेक्निकल इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ मैनेजमेंट।
यहाँ पर आए हुए सभी सम्मानित लोगों का इस प्रोग्राम में स्वागत करता हूँ और सिस्टर डेनिस बहन का मैं बहुत बहुत स्वागत करता हूँ कि आज हम लोग बहुत लकी है कि हमारी इस लखनऊ की जन्मभूमि पर सिस्टर का यहाँ पर आना हुआ और हम लोग चूँकि एजुकेशन से जुड़े हुए हैं तो सिस्टर जो है ये सत्युग की दुनिया को ला रही है। सारे इस समय जो हम लोग चाहते हैं कि इस दुनिया का एक सृष्टि में एक अच्छा कार्य हो, जैसे सिस्टर डेनिस जो कर रही है इस समय हम लोग चाहते हैं कि हर आदमी अपने जो उसके कर्म है उनको अच्छी तरह अच्छे मार्ग पर ले जावे और अच्छा करे। उस चाहे एजुकेशन का हो, चाहे पर्सनल डेवलपमेंट हो, चाहे स्किल डेवलपमेंट हो। तो हम लोग कॉलेज में तो जो कर रहे हैं वो कर रहे हैं, लेकिन सिस्टर डेनिस जो है वो हम सभी लोगों को एक अच्छा मार्गदर्शन दे रही है। जितना अच्छा हम अपने आपस में जो कर सकते हैं लोगों के लिए, अपने लिए और दूसरों की भलाई के लिए, इस विश्व के लिए, तो मैं समझता हूँ इससे अच्छा काम और कोई हर आदमी कर नहीं सकता। मैंने अपने कॉलेज में अपने इंस्टीट्यूट में एक मेडिटेशन सेंटर भी बनाया हुआ है। तो मैं अपनी फैकल्टी को भी बहुत कहता हूँ कि भाई कम से कम आप लोग ट्रेन हो जाओ तो जो बच्चे हैं वो तो ट्रेन हो ही जाएंगे। और मैं कोर्स भी करवा रहा हूँ। मैं चाहता हूँ कि यहाँ पे जो हमारी फैकल्टी आई हुई है आज पूरा यहाँ का लाभ उठाए और सिस्टर डेनिस और आप सबका बहुत
ओम शांति। Thank you, Shobit. Thank you, Radha Didi, for giving me the opportunity to introduce an angel which is between us. I am very sure that it is not possible for me to put in words Sister Denis's contribution towards society and education, but I will try to put in words. Sister Denise joined Brahma Kumaris organization as a student of Raj Yoga and dedicated her life to spiritual practice and services in 1974 at the age of 23 only. With Dadi Janki, who is the administrative head of Brahma Kumaris World's Spiritual University, as a mentor and guide, she took intensive training in the spiritual practice of Raj Yoga and studied the spiritual knowledge and meditation methods. Between 1975 and 2000, she pioneered the establishment of Brahma Kumaris centers and served as a coordinator of centers in Germany, Canada and USA. During those years, she presented approximately 100 television programs on Raj Yoga meditation, programs on addiction recovery. She taught meditation to addicts recovering from narcotics at several facilities of the Los Angeles prison system between 1984 and 1996. From 2001 to 2007, she was assigned to the Brahma Kumaris International Headquarters at Mount Abu to write 10 textbooks of the diploma programs in education in values and spirituality. This is currently being offered in Hindi and English languages through Annamalai University Distance Learning. From 2007 to 2010, Sister Denise was National Coordinator for the Brahma Kumaris in Canada. She was based in Toronto and coordinated 11 centers throughout the country. In March 2017, a Women Excellence Award was awarded to her by Yoga Confederation International Organization, and at present, she is the Director of Overseas Communication Center, Godlywood Studio, Mount Abu. So I would like to welcome Sister Denise on behalf of everyone in Lucknow. We are so obliged and we are so happy to have her here. Thank you.
Thank you, Manish Bhai. Over to Sister Denise for her insightful session. And I would certainly say it will not be only insightful but even divine.
Om Shanti. Thank you very much. I don't know if I will come up to that level that you have just described me. I hope it's okay if I speak in English. This is the world of high Hindi, and my Hindi is not very high. Radhaben thinks it's good, but it's not really. The mind. Everyone has one. We've never seen it. Don't really know whether it is a thing or not. The mind, in terms of spiritual knowledge and spiritual practice, is our faculty through which the soul can experience. There is a mind, there is intellect, sanskar, man, buddhi, sanskar. With the intellect you cannot experience anything, but you can calculate, you can comprehend, you can evaluate, you can detect whether something is correct or incorrect, whether it is moral or not moral, but you can't experience anything. Sanskaras, you cannot experience with sanskaras either. The mind is the only way that we can experience. However, the mind is very fluctuating. We have these candles in front of us, and because there is no wind, the candle can stand straight. In the soul, the wind is emotions. also want to talk about perception. And we can only perceive the material world through the mind. I have been studying the great scripture of India, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, and I'm currently trying to complete a book only on the second chapter of Gita, the Yoga of Knowledge. All of you may be knowing this better than me. And in this, it makes it clear to us that our sense organs, through which we experience the world, the physical world, you do not see with your eyes, but through your eyes. You do not hear with your ears, but through your ears. So all sense perceptions come to the soul through the mind. And we want to talk about fostering the mind through education. And here in this Ishwarya Vishwavidyalaya we study, we call it Adhyatmik Gyan, spiritual knowledge. It's not exactly religion. There's a difference between spirituality and religion. In this world there are several main faith traditions with many sub-traditions. But I think spirituality goes across the board. It's not limited by one religion or another. But in European countries, when European people came here to India about 200 years ago, and they learned and translated the Gita, they were astounded, because nowhere was there any description of the human soul except here. And it is in second chapter of Gita is only 72 shlokas, so small. But in that is everything you need to know about consciousness, and especially about the mind. What causes the mind to come out of order is sense organs and objects of sense perception. This is clearly stated in Gita. It's a simple sentence, but it's very deep. And we have to think about how we will interpret that. And this sentence is there for everyone to study since thousands of years. But still, the key to decipher this very extraordinary information may be difficult to catch and difficult to use. And so for many births, I suppose, all of us have been thinking about this. Thinking means we're using our intellectual capacity and our mind. to focus the mind, you need willpower. And the willpower is seated in the intellect. Many people say that they have a difficulty to concentrate. And as educators, you may grapple with this problem that many students have a hard time to concentrate. And who has the most difficult experience with concentration is those who live in families which are dysfunctional. Dysfunctional family means where there is violence, domestic violence. In such a case, it's very difficult for the child to study. Most people do not know that there is an intimate connection between violence in the family and capacity to study. Did you know this? It's not generally known. Wherever there is sexual harassment of the girl child, it's practically impossible for her to develop intellectually. Most people don't know this, but it is a reality. And where there is alcoholism in the family, then the configuration of behavior is erratic, and the child is severely diminished in their ability to function mentally and intellectually. Many people do not know the connection. So there is an importance not only to develop a child's intellectual capacity, but to repair circumstantial damage. And I don't believe the educational system is able to or has thought about doing this, but because the problem is so extremely widespread, it's actually very necessary. Fostering the mind means, first of all, we have to understand what is this thing called the mind. And in spiritual practice, we hear that the mind is a faculty of the human soul. So that means that although we will provide what we call a secular education, you can't foster the mind in a secular manner, because the mind is not a secular item. There are two interpretations of secularism in the Indian constitution. One of them says that secular means no religion is taken into consideration, but one operates on the basis of, you can say, the scientific method. It's one interpretation. It's the most common interpretation. Another interpretation of secular is that all religions are accepted and included. But this is a difficult one to work with because of strong differences in concept and in dogma. And this is why the first option is generally preferred. But if we want to develop the mind, we would say that the mental faculties are a byproduct of the brain, except they're not. So sometimes people go back to ancient traditions, the Gurukul system, where a person is developed in consideration of the combination of the spirit and the body, the social, emotional, psychological, all levels of an individual. To foster the mind, we have to go a little bit in depth about how the mind actually functions, what exactly it is. This has been called an interactive session, so I'm not sure how we can be interactive, but to some extent we can. The mind is an energy which has the capacity for perception and for feeling. Sometimes we talk about the heart, and when we talk about the heart, we're not talking about that part of the human body that pumps blood. We're talking about the core of the human spirit. So we talk about Dil, Dimag. Many people, they have broken heart. Have you experienced broken heart? Have you experienced betrayal? This is sadly something that many people have in their experience. And whenever there is something like this, this is also considered as trauma. Many people have experienced some degree of trauma. And trauma impacts the soul itself. It impacts the mind, and it creates distortions in the soul. So how do you straighten out a distorted soul whose light is corrupted by trauma? It's a spiritual matter, it's a psychological matter, it's an aesthetic matter, it's a medical matter, it's a legal matter, it's a moral matter. It's very, very subtle. And because it is so subtle, it's quite difficult for us to get a very clear picture about exactly what this is. Our world is materialistic. And if you ask them, are you okay? They will always say yes. Because of shame. And this is a lie which they have to speak. So it's quite a tragic situation when you think about it in this way. Other external moral authorities that we have are our religious leaders. Because the final statement about morality can be found in the scriptures and the people who study those. And sometimes the experience that the conscience and the voice of conventional morality are in conflict. Have you experienced this? And then this is also a confusing situation, because if you follow your conscience, there are consequences, severe consequences. If you follow the voice of conventional morality, you betray yourself. This is also a severe consequence. It puts the individual into a difficult situation where you do not really know clearly what to do. And this situation damages the intelligence. And when intelligence is damaged, it's very difficult to study. It's not that somebody who can't study is stupid, they're damaged. If you punish somebody for being damaged, it doesn't seem right. But yet, it happens because there is a lack of awareness about how the human mind can get damaged by certain things that I mentioned earlier. So, coming to this question of fostering the human mind, as my brother had mentioned, what is the meaning of fostering? To give that one what it needs without necessarily adopting. So that person is not able to articulate what they need. And unless you are very expert in these matters, which there are very few, it's difficult to provide what a person needs. As educators, part of our work is to provide information, but a lot of our work is bureaucratic. Do you find the bureaucratic component is a bit heavy? Yes, no? Yeah. So an educator is diminished in their functionality by bureaucratic requirements. But I don't know if there's a solution for that. So the circumstances that we find ourselves in make it difficult for us to really do something. And so very often I find among educators, one of the big problems is burnout. Do you experience something like this? Burnout? If the educator is burned out, it's very difficult to do the work. So, what would be the solution to all these things? It looks very difficult, but I think there is a possibility of a solution. How can the mind be fostered? I suppose the first mind that we have to foster is our own. And because what you want, I think, tell me if I'm wrong, but what you want is a stable mind. And you also want a mind which has very acute and subtle capacity for perception. That your perception is reliable. That your capacity to focus your mind is strong and satisfactory for you. And if you want to focus your mind on something, you are free to do it to the intensity that you want for as long as you want. But this requires tremendous energy. it's not really muscular energy. To some extent, yes, you have to do this. But I think it also requires spiritual energy. So along with Swachintan, there is also Ishwarchintan. So Ishwarchintan means that you're able to think in a coherent way about God. And God is described as Paramatma. So as the soul is subtle, so the Supreme Soul is extremely subtle. And to be able to focus your mind away from the material world, first of all on itself, and then on the Supreme Soul, that requires very powerful capacity for concentration. And this means that our mind has to be independent of the influence of perception if it wants. So for this, one of the important aspects of the Gita is there has to be detachment. So detachment from the impact of perception that we perceive through our sense organs and the objects of sense perception, which is three things. One is people, one is places, and one is things. That's everything. People, places, and things. And you are attached to your body, you are attached to your relatives, you're probably attached to your students, your school, your institution, your country, your religion, your culture. And all of this is called good. Right? Nobody can say that attachment to your relatives, to your students, to your body, to your culture, to your country, nobody can say this is bad. Except Gita says don't do it. It doesn't say it's bad. It just says don't do it. So we don't think of it as bad, so we think of it as good. And then to not do something which is good, that's very difficult. Right? How can it be possible to not do something good? So one of the things that I think you find in the Gita, and certainly we hear about in the spiritual study that we do here, is we need to be independent of good and bad. Actually, it says very clearly, be equal in the face of success and failure. Are we? No. Be equal in the face of victory and defeat. Now we have a little bit delicate political situation. I don't think people are equal in the face of possible defeat. Nobody likes defeat. If somebody has victory, somebody else has defeat. So this is key to keep the mind stable, but it is totally opposite of our belief system, no? So it's a conundrum. How do you figure out this problem? It's not an easy thing. We say this is easy yoga. It's not really. It's quite tricky, quite difficult. One human being is a microcosm of all of humanity. I think when a person becomes an educator, it's called a vocation. It's a vocation. You're called to serve the minds of young people. And because it's a vocation, I think most teachers are very low paid. I think this is very odd, because the teacher is the most important influence in a human life. Should be the highest paid. No? I think if it were very highly paid, people who have the capacity to be good teachers would be more inclined to take up teaching as a profession. What do you think?
I don't think so, because like if you are oriented for the commercial or more remuneration, maybe then you can do more business or something to not become a teacher. So I don't think like only having remuneration would be the target for anyone.
This is a very well-known argument.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So because the teachers, as you said, they are the persons who are going to foster the mind, and those who are interested in the mind, they won't mind the matter. So that is the thing. You want to attract the people, the educator, who are not minding the matter or materialistic things.
But
So
you
that is-
see, think about it a little bit deeply, because this is strongly stated in the world of education that you should accept to be financially penalized because you have a vocation. That's a different thing. You see. So the value of a teacher, depending on what your values are, of course, but to me, the value of a teacher, or the talent or capacity, or what a teacher has to do is very, very high caliber capacity. If you are a brain surgeon, this is also a vocation. He doesn't get told, oh, you have to fix people's brains for zero money. He never gets told that. When teachers get told that. For centuries, people have been thinking a teacher, if they are interested in good quality remuneration, there's something wrong with you. The majority of teachers are women. Yesterday, I think it was yesterday, Women's Day. Yeah? Women are generally given less money, substantially less money for same work. Why? The argument is they don't need it. Yes? Because they have a husband. How many women are head of household in India? Many. But still the statement is, you don't need it. Because if you don't have a husband, something wrong with you. Yes. These are messages, subliminal messages that are given. It's changing, but very slowly. Yeah, thank you. Take the microphone, yeah.
When the teachers who are, when they come out, there are certain commitments at home that they have to complete and come out. So they can't focus if it is not completed. And for that, we may also hire some people at home. So actually, even we need money to settle down things and then concentrate.
Definitely. So what I'm trying to say is that there are many ideas that are in the air which cannot deeply be substantiated because of preconception. So if we want to foster the mind, we have to take a look at preconceptions which mitigate against fostering the mind. And I think there are quite a few. And the first preconception that damages the mind is to assume that a human being is either a male or a female. First, it's a preconception. How do you know if somebody is a male or a female? Very simple, you look at their body. You never look at their soul. Is it right? Now in Gita it says, basically, that a soul is genderless. Am I right? There's no gender of a soul. So gender awareness is a factor of perception of matter. Very limited perception. And it affects every aspect of life. Then, color of body. Body comes all the way from extremely pale to extremely dark. And in many people's value system, a person is more valuable if their body color is lighter, and less valuable if their body color is darker. Who invented that? You don't know. Somebody must have. Where does it come from? Scriptures. In Hinduism, there is this expression for Sri Krishna, Sham Sundar. Is this talking about the body or the soul? What do you think? Sham Sundar means?
I think. Shyam means the color, the black, and Sundar means the soul within that black. So a beautiful soul within that black color, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, it's an interesting possibility. Let me propose a different possibility and just tell me if you think it sounds reasonable. That when the soul is fully in its power, we call it Sato Pradhan. Sato Pradhan means fully light. And then this all changes after many births. Slowly, Sato, then Rajo, then Tamo, then Tamo Pradhan. Is that right? Can be. So Tamo Pradhan soul can be dark. What do you think? Sato Pradhan soul can be sundar. Possible? Ask yourself, am I Sato Pradhan? Sato, Rajo, Tamo Pradhan, what do you think? You wouldn't say Tamo Pradhan, I know. But can you say Sato Pradhan? It's also difficult, no? Sato Pradhan soul is 100% pure. For yourself, will you say you are slightly pure and slightly impure, or how would you think about it? Slightly pure and slightly impure. There's a wonderful Indian example that we can think of for a moment. If you have a drop of poison in a glass of milk, or if you have a drop of milk in a glass of poison, which one will you drink? You wouldn't touch it. So even a little bit of impurity in the soul makes you feel that it would be good if I could transcend this, no? You think? I mean, in religious practice, it doesn't matter what religion, everyone wishes, I think, or requests for purification, no? So this Ishwar Chintan is for that. See, if your mind is pure, not having any negative thought, and it stays like this candle, very straight and easily in connection with its own self and with the Supreme Power, yeah? Then your mind is in its own power. Yeah? Is it like that? And when you make that effort to do that, you experience some challenges. It's normal. So these challenges, we would say this is from karma. Who performs karma? I. Soul performs karma through the body. And there is an effect on the mind. If you are a yogi and they put you in solitude, solitary confinement, you have no problem. If you're a criminal, they put you in solitary confinement. It's the worst punishment. Why? Because of what happens in the mind. Yeah? So where do you live? In your mind, no? So this is why fostering the mind of someone else, I think, has to begin with fostering my own mind. You see. Because those who we teach, they look at us. They evaluate us. They see, are you real? Are you not real? Are you careless? Are you careful? Are you true? Are you not true? They evaluate you second by second. And it's very nice if they respect you, you know. You want them to respect you because you can't teach somebody if they don't respect you. It's not possible. You need their attention. If they don't respect you, they won't pay attention. And they will respect you when you earn their respect. So they watch you closely to see, is my teacher respect-worthy or not? Think about in your life, who are the teachers that you honor and regard as those who you see? They're clean, they're straight, they're not corrupt, they're honorable, they're honest, they are sincere. But how many human beings are like this? Not so many. So this is what spiritual practice will do for the mind. Because when you do an action against your conscience, it's a choice. And I choose to go against my conscience because it's too expensive to do the right thing. It will cost you a lot. They say it doesn't cost you anything to do the right thing, right? They say it's not true. It costs you a lot to do the right thing. It's very cheap to do the wrong thing. They never tell you that. So this is also preconception that maybe we need to reconsider. You have to be very wealthy to do the right action. Not with money, but wealthy in terms of your personal power. Because you have to pay the price. If you do the right thing, other people won't like it. Why? Because you make them look bad.
Absolutely spellbound. I'm sure किसी ने कहा है, मैंने सुना था कि शिक्षा का घड़ा जितना गहरा होता है व्यक्तित्व उतना ही मीठा सरल हो जाता है. I must tell you that Sister Denise, I was going through her profile in details. I came to know that at the age of 25, she was working with the BBC in London, and she was at the apex of her career, earning a huge sum of money, and was handling the broadcast and the international media and all that work. And having lived that life, the epitome, that awakening within her led her towards this aspect of values that you just heard today, of how fostering the mind can happen, and the depth and the wisdom, that knowledge that Didi shared with us, to talk about the Atmaghat, to talk about the Jivaghat, a very important concept that we can introduce into our mindsets. We as people being into the field of education, Didi also spoke about extracting the meaning of Gita. Not literally interpreting as it is, but extracting the meanings of the Gita and using the voice of conscience. We as educators listen to external consciences, but the inner voice, and how many times a day are we listening to it? And the accumulation that leads to it. Didi spoke about the external moral authority. Now, when I am the external moral authority, what responsibility do I have over my own self? Sister also spoke about the aspects of child development, the psychological aspects, as we would be knowing, and the moral confusion it creates in the minds of not only children but adults as well. What is it that I can do, we can do as educationists? And when you ask the child, how are you? The person will say, I'm fine. But is he really fine? And so, Didi has given us, in a nutshell, a very deep insight, which is also divine, and something that we need to work and take care. Educators face the problem of burnout. There is tremendous energy, and the answer is Swachintan and Ishwari Chintan. A bit of physical energy also will use, but we did mention that it is the Swachintan and the Ishwari Chintan that would lead us and prevent us from this burnout. I mean, the entire session and the insight that you gave is a book within itself. Isn't it? It's a book within itself. And let me tell you, Didi is a living embodiment. And you know, where we learn from her actions, from her expressions, from what she speaks, there is continuous learning. जैसे कहते हैं ना, पल पल पर आप शिक्षा आप दीदी से ग्रहण कर सकते हो. That is experience the sisters have, not only 1, 10, 20, but thousands of sisters, dedicated sisters in the Brahma Kumaris institution. And apart from that, millions of people have taken huge benefit. Didi has also been instrumental in setting up hundreds of Raj Yoga, spiritual, academic, value-based learning centers across the world. And this journey is like not a short journey, long journey, 45 plus years. मुझे यही याद आता है रविंद्रनाथ टैगोर की बात, और Nobel laureate. He said, I would like to recite that little poem in the honor of Didi, and we as people who are in the field of education, and this poem is to realize the word. It says, where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, where knowledge is free and the world is not broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls, where tireless striving stretches into arms of perfection, where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way, into the dreary desert sand of dead habit, where the mind is led forward by thee into ever-widening thought and action, into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake. We thank you so much. We thank, all the special people who have come over here. These are the delighted people. I would like to invite Mr. Mukesh Meshram, Secretary, Medical Education, UP, to please come up on the stage and give his vote of thanks. Mr. Mukesh Meshram, Secretary, Medical Education, Uttar Pradesh.
Kumaris, Gomti, Nagar. I would like to express our gratitude to Sister Denise, who has delivered such nice spiritual address to all of us. यहाँ पर इतने शिक्षाविद मौजूद हैं जो बच्चों का माइंड है दो दूरियों के बीच में वो घूम रहा होता है। एक जब शिक्षक उसको समझाने की कोशिश करते हैं और वो समझ नहीं पाता, बहुत प्रयास किया जाता है, अच्छी तरीके से उस स्तर पर पहुंचने में नाकामयाब होता है। तो ये एक्सप्रेशन होता है, पता नहीं कैसे माँ बाप हैं जो बच्चों को संस्कार नहीं दे पा रहे हैं। दूसरी तरफ जब वो घर जाता है, माँ बाप के प्रति उसका व्यवहार एक अलग किस्म पे उत्पन्न होता है। तो माँ बाप का एक्सप्रेशन होता है, पता नहीं कैसे स्कूल बन गए, कैसे शिक्षक हैं जो समझा नहीं पा रहे हैं। तो ये दोनों के बीच में वह एक यंग ब्रेन, यंग माइंड घूम रहा होता है। एक क्लास में 30 है, 40 है, 50 है, कितने भी बच्चे हैं, हर एक अपने आप में यूनिक है। और एक टीचर हर बच्चे को उसके स्तर, उसके माइंड में क्या चल रहा है, वो हर एक को समझाना बड़ा मुश्किल होता है। और यही वजह है कि जो कुछ ज्ञान उसके पास है, जो कुछ वो बताना चाहता है, एक प्रोटोटाइप, एक स्टेंसिल या एक टेम्पलेट नुमा चीज पुस्तकों के माध्यम से उसके हाथ में है, और वह जो कुछ प्रस्तुत कर रहा है दैट इज ओनली इंफॉर्मेशन। बच्चों का माइंड उस इंफॉर्मेशन को गैदर करता है, कलेक्ट कर रहा है, और वो एक डाटा बैंक के तौर पर एग्जाम में फिर वापस उसको प्रस्तुत कर देता है। केवल ये एक पूरे एजुकेशन सिस्टम में लगभग हम आगे बढ़ते जा रहे हैं, और बच्चों के हाथ में डिग्रियों की एक बंचिंग आ जाती है। इस सब में जब कोई भी व्यक्ति जो अपना ज्ञान प्रस्तुत कर रहा है, उसका व्यवहार और उसकी वाणी से प्रस्फुटित प्रत्येक शब्द की गहनता तभी वास्तव में सार्थक होगी जब उसके अंदर एक आध्यात्मिक और एक स्वचिंतन आत्मिक तौर पर स्थापित होगी। और इसके लिए जरूरी है कि उसका स्वयं का स्वचिंतन, आत्मचिंतन इस स्तर पर पहुंच जाए कि जब उसके मुख से वाणी मुखरित हो, उस बच्चे के मन के माध्यम से आत्मा तक पहुंच जाए। दोनों में अंतर है। जहाँ पर हम केवल दिमाग की और माइंड की बात करते हैं, और जैसा मैंने कहा ये न्यूरॉन से बना हुआ है, मिलियंस ऑफ न्यूरॉन से बना हुआ है। हर न्यूरॉन का एक पावर है जो 4 वाट के आधार पर माना गया है, और मैक्सिमम पूरी दुनिया में इसका 4% से ज़्यादा किसी ने भी अभी तक इस्तेमाल नहीं किया। तो अब अगर हम सोच लें कि कितना बड़ा पावर हाउस है, मिलियंस ऑफ न्यूरॉन मल्टीप्लाइड बाय 4 वाट, एक न्यूरॉन डालें, और यही वजह है कि इससे हमको जिसको कहते हैं ना हृदयंगम करते हुए, हृदय से आत्मा को जोड़ करके फिर माइंड तक पहुंचाना बहुत बड़ी एक्सरसाइज है। उसके लिए कहा गया जीवन विद्या। तो व्यवहार उसका कैसे हो, कैसे उसका आचरण हो, ज्ञान के साथ हो। अन्यथा ज्ञान जो है केवल ज्ञान नहीं रहता, फिर वो केवल सूचनाएं बनकर के रह जाती हैं। इसलिए केवल 2 बातें मैं कहना चाहूँगा कि प्रत्येक को अपने आप में एक चिंतन की जरूरत है, और वह चिंतन है कि मैं किस तरीके से इस पूरे टाइम एंड स्पेस में, हमने घड़ियों को केवल एक पैमाना बनाया, ये टाइम नहीं, टाइम कहाँ से स्टार्ट हुआ और कहाँ जाके खत्म हुआ किसी का ओर छोड़ नहीं। उसी तरीके से स्पेस में भी कोई ओर छोड़ नहीं। और इस पूरे टाइम एंड स्पेस में हमारा जो एक्सिस्टेंस है वो इतना, मतलब इस पे आप डस्ट भी महसूस कर सकते हैं। तो फिर हम अपने अंदर ईगो, एंगर, हेट्रेड, तो दुनिया जहाँ की चीजों का लोड लेकर के क्यों घूमती? बस उसे अगर हमने थोड़ा प्योरिटी की तरफ, लव की तरफ, थोड़ा सा हमने काइंडनेस की तरफ, ह्यूमिलिटी की तरफ इधर कर दिया, तो दोनों में अंतर आ जाएगा और फिर वही शरीर इतना हल्का लगने लगेगा कि हम अपने व्यवहार के माध्यम से उस महीन और उस यंग ब्रेन को बहुत आसानी से समझाने में कामयाब हो सकते हैं। उसके लिए जरूरी है प्रैक्टिस, अभ्यास, और अभ्यास के लिए आवश्यक है आपको सोल सर्चिंग, सोल कॉन्शियसनेस की तरफ जाने की आवश्यकता पड़ेगी, जो यदि किसी को भी समय चाहिए, फिर वो लगता है कि साहब मेरे पास इतना वक्त नहीं है, मेरे पास इतना समय नहीं है, लेकिन सबसे पहले अपने को साबित करना है इस पूरे टाइम और स्पेस में, तो समय निकल आता है। कोई अगर कहता है दुनिया का कोई भी आदमी कि मेरे पास समय नहीं है, इसका मतलब वो झूठ बोल रहा है, समय का मैनेजमेंट नहीं है उसके पास। दरअसल मुख्य समस्या वहाँ है, जहाँ अगर उसने समय को मैनेज कर लिया तो लोगों के पास में समय ही समय है। सबसे पहले अपने लिए समय तो रखना ही पड़ेगा, तभी तो, क्योंकि पहले आपको अपना जीवन सफल करना है, फिर दूसरे लोगों को बताना है। तो पोस्टिंग ऑफ माइंड एजुकेशन के जरिए एक बहुत बड़ा सब्जेक्ट है, पूरी दुनिया में इसकी जरूरत है कि जितने ये यंग सोल्स जिनको हम आगे जाकर के ग्लोब देने वाले हैं, आगे जाकर के पूरी कंट्री देने वाले हैं, पूरी सोसाइटी देने वाले हैं, किन हैंड्स में जाने वाला है, ये सबसे बड़ा चिंतन। और उसके लिए जिम्मेदारी कैसे भी ले, चाहे वो वेतन के माध्यम से, किसी इंस्टीट्यूट के माध्यम से, अगर टीचर्स के हाथ में है तो है, तो टीचर्स को एक थोड़ा सा ऑनेस्टी के साथ में उस चीज को एडमिट करने की आवश्यकता है। मैं समझता हूँ कि ये पॉइंट जो है हम लोग यहाँ से लें। एंड अगेन आई वुड लाइक टू थैंक यू on behalf of all the audience gathered over here, and it was really mesmerizing, really very nice. Basically, I learned a lot. Thank you.